Cutting off hands and using them as trophies is a well-known ancient Egyptian tradition, but a new study tells eerie details. Scientists used osteological analysis to examine the artifacts. Severed right hands found by archaeologists in a Hyksos palace in Avaris in northeastern Egypt have raised many questions about ancient Egyptian traditions. Although experts have found severed hands before, this is the first example of osteological analysis using physical evidence. Archaeologists found severed right hands in 3 pits in the courtyard of a Hyksos palace in Avaris, Tel El Dabia in northeastern Egypt. The palace dates from the 15th dynasty, 1640 to 1530 BC, when the Hyksos kings ruled Lower and Middle Egypt up to Kasi, the first time that foreign rulers appeared in Egypt. This is the first example of osteological analysis. Osteology is the science of bone structure and function, using physical evidence, although tomb inscriptions and temple reliefs from the New Kingdom onward document the practice of placing severed hands. Anatomical markers indicate that the hands belong to at least 12 adults, 11 men and possibly 1 woman. The hands were placed in pits with their fingers spread wide apart, palms facing down. It is unknown whether this arrangement was due to taphonomic reasons, natural way, or deliberate. The method used to amputate the hands may have involved cutting the joint capsule and severing the tendons of the carpal joint, which left no visible marks on the bones. The people responsible for dismembering the hands most likely cared about their proper appearance, so they separated parts of the forearm rather than cutting the hand off in any anatomical position. It is likely that the living individuals were dismembered during the ceremony or shortly before, since the hands were still soft and flexible when they were placed in the pit. The ethnic or cultural group to which the hands belonged cannot be identified, but the practice of cutting off the right hands of enemies was introduced in Egypt by the Hyksos some 50 to 80 years before the inscriptions and images depicting this tradition. The placement, behavior, and possible location of the amputated hands indicate that they were presented as prizes during a public event held in the palace. This evidence refutes the theory that these acts were punitive measures by law enforcement when viewed through a transdisciplinary lens that takes into account archaeological and historical sources.